We are open to the next clean page in our math notebook, and we are labeling the top of our page writing decimals and today's date, which is 10/20/2020. October 20th of 2020. Writing decimals. Let's just see everyone getting this written down on their page. Awesome. Writing decimals, 10/20/2020. So I know we've been reviewing the different forms of writing numbers, including decimals. Today we are practicing just writing decimal numbers. So that could be a number that has digits to the left of the decimal point, but every number will have digits to the right of the decimal point. So the tenths, hundredths, and thousandths places. Now, we aren't talking about anything beyond the thousandths place to the right. As you guys move up in math, though, you may start talking about the 10,000ths, the 100,000ths, the millionths, and so on. But for 5th grade, we just talk about the tenths, hundredths, and thousandths. All right, so what we're going to do is right off the bat, Philip, what are you doing? Okay, should you be exiting the room without talking to me? That's okay. Go look for your pencil. All right, so word form is the first one we're going to talk about. So you'll notice I left myself a lot of room, right? I want you to be copying this down and leaving yourself enough room. So my plan for this one is to write this number, its word form below it, and maybe off to the side, and then this word, or this number, I'm writing the word form over here. So I'm giving myself a lot of room. So that first number is 526 decimal 963. Then our second number is 24. Then we have a comma because it's in the thousands place. 796 decimal 003. And then I put a colon here just as a place for me to start writing the word form for these decimals. So what you're going to do, Philip, close the door, please. What you are going to do, before we move on to the next form and you see the next numbers, we are going to write these two numbers out in word form. And so if you're thinking, geez, Miss E, I don't remember how to write this in word form, think in your head how you would say each of these numbers out loud. And that's exactly how you're going to write it in all words with no numbers. So think about, for like this first one, 526 decimal 963, how you would say it out loud, and then write it down. So I want everyone to write the word form for each of these numbers. I will know you are done when I see either a thumbs up on your desk or I see you quietly reading. Capiche? Awesome. Go ahead, you guys. Are you doing 3? Ready to rock. All right, if you're reading a book or drawing, I'd like you to set that aside. I did want to let you guys know that I was really impressed with some of you who are whispering the number to yourself first before you wrote it out, because I know sometimes if you look at it, you might be thinking, okay, how am I exactly supposed to write this out? So I heard a few people whispering the number to themselves. That is a great practice, and you should still keep doing that, because whispering it to yourself, you can make sure you are saying it correctly and therefore writing it correctly. So for our first one, I want you to think about how we say this number out loud, and on the count of 3, I want us to say it together, because that's exactly how you should have written it. All right, so on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. 526 and 963 thousandths. Nice job. 526 and 963 thousandths. So, let's grab my bracelet. You should have written it like this. 526 and 963 thousandths. So when you wrote thousandths, you need, oops, that's an H. You need to make sure you wrote out thousand and then added THS, because you guys, on a test, if you were to write thousands there, not thousandths, I couldn't be 100% sure that you knew what place you were in. So you want to make sure, as soon as you get into the right of that decimal, you're adding that THS onto your place value. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. All right, how do we feel about the first one? Show me on your hands. How do we feel about the first one? Okay, good, good. All right, now let's look at our second number. Again, I want you to think about how we would say this number out loud. And on the count of 3, we're going to say it out loud. So 1, 2, 3. 24,796 and 3 thousandths. 24,796 and 3 thousandths. So just like when we have a whole number that has zeros in certain places, we just skip over them and we go straight to the next digit. So once we get done with our ones place, we say that's 6, then we go and we skip to the 3 and say the place it's in, 3 thousandths. So you should have written this one like this. 24,000 796 96 and 3 thousandths. And again, you are double checking to make sure when you wrote thousandths, you added that THS onto the end. How do we feel about the second one? Show me on your hands. How do we feel about the second one? Awesome. Overall, how are you guys feeling about writing a number in word form with words? Yeah? Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so now we are going to move on to standard form. So it's a lot of writing up front, but basically, remember, standard form is in numbers like we're used to. So you are given two numbers in word form, and you're being asked to write them in standard form. So that first one says 54,709 and 444 thousandths. And then the second number says 1,611,325 and 61 thousandths. So yes, you have a lot of writing to do up front, but then once you're done, you're just writing it with numbers like we usually do in standard form. So go ahead, get those written down, and then you can write it in standard form. I know you are done when I see you either sitting quietly with your thumbs up or I see you reading. Yeah, so this is the opposite of what we did above. have a minute or two to finish up, but feel free to go with me on that second one. Please actually clap. Awesome. All right, let's take a look at this, you guys. Okay, so we did the opposite. Michael. We did the opposite here. During word form, we were given numbers in standard form and asked to write them with words. I'm not going to tell you again, Michael. Thank you. For standard form, we were given numbers in word form and asked to write them in numbers. So I'm going to write them out, and I want you to see if you got the same thing as me. So first one, 54,000. So I would start it with 5, 4, comma, 709, so 709 or 709, and, so that tells me there's my decimal, 444 thousandths. 444 thousandths. How many of you got the same number as me in standard form? How many of you got the same number as me? Okay. How many people may have made like a silly mistake? Maybe. Yeah? Okay. Philip, your book should be away. A silly mistake? Okay. Now, this one may have been a little trickier once we got beyond the decimal. Let's see if you get what I got. So, 1 million, so 1, comma, 611,000, 325, and, so that tells me decimal, 61 thousandths. Now you guys, thousandths, that's 3 places to the right of our decimal, right? But the number 61 only has 2 digits in it. So that would only make me end in the hundredths place. What am I supposed to do here? What am I supposed to do? I see Grayson giving me this. What is he trying to tell me? What needs to go? What do I need to do, Philip? I have to put a 0 before it all. So you guys, when you're looking at a number, for example, in word form, and you have something where it's 61 thousandths, and you notice, okay, 61 has 2 digits, but I need to wind up in the thousandths place, which is 3 digits to the right. You make sure that 1 for this one ends up in the thousandths place, and you put a 0 in any of the spaces that need to be filled. So 61 thousandths, I should have 0, 6, 1 to ensure that 61, that 1, ends up in the thousandths place. So that means I have a 0 in the tenths place for that to happen. How many of you got that on your first try, putting that 0 in the tenths place? Okay. How many of you does it make sense now why we put the 0 in the tenths place? Okay. Exactly. And it could be because I've done this so much, I know immediately to put the 0 there. What you guys could have done is, and I'm going to, let me grab a pen. What you could have done while you're writing it is, be writing out your number. Then you get to your decimal and you think, okay, I need the 1 to be in the thousandths place. So what you could have done is put the 1 in the thousandths place, put the 6 where it needs to be, and then look to see where the spaces are and filled it in with zeros. Exactly. So yeah, if you need to do it kind of backwards, like Jack L said, you can. Make sure that digit, so in this case the 1, is in the place it's supposed to be in, fill in any other numbers, and then if there are any spaces, that's when you can go ahead and add your zeros. Nice job. Yeah, definitely, you can always use that trick. Nice job. All right, our last form, expanded form.
No.
Don't worry, I didn't give you too hard numbers. So, expanded form. We have 0 decimal 897 as our first number, 0 decimal 897. And then we have 1 decimal 45 as our second number. So remember, expanded form, that's when we're taking each place value and adding it to the other place values in the number. So for example, here, it depends on how you're looking at it. We could have 4 different place values, 1, 2, 3, 4, or you might just be adding the last 3, 1, 2, 3. With our second one, we have 3 place values, 1, 2, 3, and you're adding them together. So again, get that written down. I will know you are ready to move on when I see a thumbs up or I see you quietly reading. You're writing it in expanded form. So if you don't remember what expanded form is, look back a page or 2 in your notes, because we took notes about expanded form. Yep, look back a page or 2 in your notes. Ready to rock. All right, let's take a look at this one together. Now, there are two different ways that you could have written this. If you guys remember the way that we write it, we usually don't use fractions, but do you remember how your workbook will sometimes expand it using fractions? Yeah, I'm going to show you write it both ways depending on how you did it. So for our first one, we don't have a number in the ones place, but I will say it is not a bad habit to include it anyways, just to make sure you're including all your numbers. So if you skipped over the 0 and went right into the 8/10, that's okay. I'm going to include it in my expanded form, okay? So I would have 0, and I'm going to do the way that we usually do it first, plus 0.8, which stands for 8/10, plus 0.09, or 9/100, plus 0.007, or 7/1000. Now, did you guys notice that I always put a 0 in that ones place? That is because if you are going to have a decimal place, you need to have something to the left of it. You can't just go 0.8. It would have to be 0.8. So that's the way we usually write it. However, if you wrote it in fraction form, you may have written 0 plus, and then done 8/10 to represent 8/10, plus 9/100 to represent 9/100, plus 7/1000 to represent 7/1000. Either of these I would accept, okay? And either of these would be accepted on a test. How do we feel about the first one? How do we feel about the first one? Awesome. Again, if you just skipped over the 0, that's fine. Okay. All right. Then we move on to 1 45/100. So for this one, you should have for sure included the 1 because there's an actual digit in the ones place. So that would be 1 plus 0.4 for 4/10 plus 0.05 for 5/100. If you wrote it in fraction form, you would have written it as 1 plus 4/10 for 4/10 plus 5/100 for 5/100. How do we feel about this one? Yeah? Awesome. Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's just like, basically, it's the same as when you're doing expanded form with a whole number. You know, you add zeros in all the places that you're not currently focused on. You do the same thing when you go to the right, but you just need to make sure you're also including that decimal in those other zeros. Yeah. Okay, you're going to anonymously show me how you feel about writing decimals in word form, standard form, and expanded form. So go ahead, close your eyes. Close your eyes, put your head down, whatever you need to do so that you're not looking. Don't use your face mask as a blindfold. Okay, be close. All right. Show me on a scale of 1 through 5 how you feel about writing decimals in standard, word, and expanded form. Go ahead, show me 1 through 5. How are we feeling? 1 through 5. Okay. Hands down, hands down, hands down. Lift up your head. You guys are doing a great job so far. When I walk around and I look at your notebooks, I'm seeing some really good things. And I've been observing some really good things. Back up and very nice. I'm so happy that you're feeling more confident on this. Because if you guys remember the first day we did this, I asked you how you felt about it. And I was getting lots of 1s and 2s. Now I'm seeing everyone's at like 3.5 to 5. So that is so awesome. I'm so happy you're feeling more confident with this. For homework tonight, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Prodigy and I'm going to specifically, I can kind of alter sometimes the kinds of questions you get if you're practicing a specific skill. So I'm going to have Prodigy set up where you're just practicing this again. Really make sure you get that background knowledge of these different forms in your head, and you'll have 20 minutes of Prodigy for homework tonight. Yay! Jack out. no one's got it, I'm gonna take it. But right now, I think we've gotten, I told you guys, we are renewing our Chromebook. And so Mr. Leach is taking like 2 parts at a time and switching out the Chromebook, which takes a while. This time only 1 part that can be used for all the classes. So I can't just go and try it. So I just stick to when it's signed out. Otherwise it totally works. Allison. There are 3 Chrome parts. There are 3. What's the new Chromebook? We're keeping a part, but we're putting new Chromebooks into the bed.
And yes, the same one. He has to switch out the Chromebooks and then if we need new chargers, he has to switch out the chargers.
If you guys have noticed, one of the cards is gray and green instead of black and white, and the charger port is different. Yep, so Mr. Leach has to put the new, not just put the new Chromebooks into the slot, but along the back is where all the chargers for every single Chromebook are wired and like threaded through. So he has to organize all the chargers in the back too, and that will take a lot of time. Yes, Leila. So Prodigy, I think do I have the website in your planner too? See, I think I do. So if you open up to the front part of your planner where your login information is, I have the website, and then where's your login information? You just go to the website and log in. Also, yes, also Leila, you can go to Google Classroom from home. Have you done that before?
Yeah, I just want to figure out my favorite time.
Yeah, so go to Google Classroom from home, and then you can go to our homeroom page or our math page, and there's a link to Prodigy on the page.
Download the app.
Or you can play Prodigy.com. Just make sure, Leila, when you go to Google Classroom, once you click on the page you want to go to, you're putting in classes. If it is on screen, it's not organized and it's just a bunch of stuff. If you go to classes, then it's all organized. You can find the link. Yes, Allison. Nope, we return them. So, we get the new ones, then we send the old ones back.
I'll take one.
No. Alright. So, 20 minutes of Prodigy is our homework tonight. Awesome.